say hi. Welcome to About Albums and Artists. It's a show where I talk to artists about albums they made. The name is really self-explanatory. I'm your host, Christina, better known as Twinby. And today we have multiple guests. We have Kill Instinct on, which is the duo of Leia, better known as Goth.
Hello.
And Phil Gonzo.
Hello there.
Phil Gonzo is his full legal name, for the record. So Kill Instinct are both have their own releases, but now banded together. I'd say they're the first dark electro power couple, but I think that title goes to Mobius and his girlfriend.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah. And we are talking about their first album, which, as of recording, is only on Bandcamp. I'm probably not going to get this edited before it's also on the other platforms, but as of right now, it's only on Bandcamp, which is Kill.One. So, do you have any initial thoughts or context you want to give about the album before we get into the track by track?
Shall I start, Phil? Do you want to start?
Yeah, you start.
Well, yeah. Hey, Twinby. It's good to finally meet you properly. And just, yeah, it's great to see that you're doing this show and want to take some time to also speak to artists in our scene and kind of share some of the process. But yeah, so Phil and I met like a year and a half ago online. Phil's in Toronto. I'm in Brighton in the UK. And yeah, I was just a massive fan of his work, came across his album, came across Nosebleed, and reached out to him and kind of connected and actually ended up collaborating within like the first week, I think, of kind of chatting. And we did Paradise, which we can get to. We can kind of give some background to that later. But yeah, there's just an instant connection there in terms of sound, creativity, atmosphere, just overall vibe. And yeah, kind of became friends and you know, we've kind of been working on our own projects and have our own kind of individual sounds, but there was room there. There was something there that was like we can meet and start creating something together. And so I think it just started developing very naturally, and the sound for Kill Instinct and the visual identity and everything just kind of started developing. And yeah, so now we have a baby where we can go and have all of the I think it's like a place for all of our our kind of dark synth kind of tonal atmospheres. Like I really kind of I like to create that world.
Sorry, I was just gonna add that going back to us first meeting, Leah first thing she messaged me was that she had a pup named Gonzo way back in the day. So
this is a fact.
Needless to say, we got along well. It's funny, yeah, not many people know, like, a lot of people think the Gonzo in my name is from, like, porn, which is funny to me. More people think it's from porn than from what it's really from, which is Hunter S. Thompson, Fear, Loathing in Las Vegas, and Dr. Gonzo. So, just fun fact, to set the record straight for anyone listening.
That highly increases the list of potential sources for the name Gonzo that I know of, because the only other Gonzo I know is the Muppet.
I've had more people be like, Gonzo, like asking about like the porn, and I think literally it's only one other person other than Leah has been like, oh, Hunter S. Thompson, yeah, which is that's some boomer stuff right there.
I'm going to have Gonzo porn in my search history after this, and I will regret it.
Perfect. If we leave you with one thing.
It's the one learning from this podcast. To get back to the music, yes. Not the porn. One thing I find really interesting is for most of the songs, it kind of to me felt like it didn't feel like a Goat song, but like mostly your style with a bit of Phil's elements, all the other way around. And it's funny to see that Paradise was the first one you came up with, because I'm going to mention this when we get to the track, but it doesn't really invoke that. It feels like more when you've experimented a bunch with music and then you came up with something like unusual for both of you, if that makes sense. But I think we will get to that because it is actually the last track on our.
I mean, we could talk. We could go back to front if you want. I mean, we're already here. There's no sense in taking a detour at this point.
You're trying to save my segues. That's very nice.
Well, I've got it in my brain right now, so I might as well, like, I guess, touch on it a little bit at least. So that instrumental, I had sent it around a couple of times, and it never worked out. And, you know, looking back, it makes total sense. Like, everything is the way it is meant to be. That being the first track that we ever worked on. But yeah, that instrumental is definitely not, like, my sound that I'm usually known for, right? Like, it's got, like, a sense of it, like it's got a bit of it there. It's like got that like dark vibe to it, but it's a lot lower energy and like more atmospheric and stuff. So yeah, it was like it never really fit directly under Phil Gonzo, but I really liked that beat, and you know, obviously it's now what it is, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my note about it said that it felt like Cable. I don't know if you know his
Yeah.
name.
Yes, I do know Cable.
Yeah, like songs like Sleepwalker or Skin Deep, like that's what it invoked for me.
Yeah. I think for me, Paradise, I was so super, super nervous also. And we kept the original vocal on that. We didn't actually like do any of the vocals again. I tend to be I'm a terrible like vocalist in that sense, that sometimes I will intentionally keep a not perfect vocal in because there's like a certain atmosphere or a feeling that was just captured like in that very first or very early takes. So that's the original very like early vocal, and we kept that in. And I just remember I hadn't really been singing for very long or like producing for very long. I still haven't, but at that point it was like maybe a year in. And I was just like, oh my God, like this incredible producer, you know, has sent me this track and it's awesome. And like, I just didn't want to mess it up. And I just wanted to do a good job, and I like sent it off, and I was really nervous all day and got a message and he's like, I love it. I'm like, yeah. So that is a very special track. It's very sentimental for that reason, because that's like the track that we first kind of connected on. And I think the whole sound of the album is like, hopefully we've done something new. Like, I'm not going to say it's new, because I don't think like, you know, I don't think it's a completely new genre or anything, but I think our influences definitely come through. So yeah, I think that's probably what you're hearing, and I think a lot of people have picked up as well.
Yeah, I find the leaving imperfect takes and interesting, because I don't think that's so uncommon, because I know I did that too. Like I have previously on a song, I had like set my mic a bit too loud, so I was clipping a bit, but still kept a take because like I did know I just wasn't going to nail the delivery again.
Yeah, and it's not always about a perfect vocal take. You know, there's a time and a place, I think. Sometimes you want, you know, there's a little mistake, what we would call a mistake, like by conventional singing standards, I guess, but it just does something. It you know, it's transformative, I think, if people are listening and you have these little moments where it just feels more authentic, I think. So yeah, totally get it.
That was my cat Ophelia featuring on the podcast.
Hi, Ophelia.
Yeah, one thing that got me a little bit, Phil, you just mentioned like you had sent the instrumental to other vocalists before. I have never done that. Like, I don't dare do that, because I just feel like I'd be replacing the one I originally asked.
Well, no, just, you know, like I sent it to people. Didn't work out. They didn't want to do anything with it. So I still wanted obviously I love that instrumental. I wanted to make it a song. So and it definitely I couldn't have done it without a vocal. Like there's too much space in it. It needed something. And then as well, like it got developed after that. After we added the vocal, there was stuff added. So
yeah, definitely. It's just I don't think I do the less confident thing. I just go, okay, I guess this will be an instrumental then.
It is. I mean, but the thing is, like, there's songs that Phil has sent me that we haven't worked on, and it's not been like the right thing for me, or I've not been able to kind of get that instant. For me, it's pretty instant. Like either like, and that's just not with Phil. It's like with anyone. Like it either works or it kind of doesn't, and you kind of get like an instant sense quite quickly anyway. So yeah. So I'm glad it came to me though.
All right, we've already buried, and yes, the segues are going to be puns, our order of songs, but let's get to the first song of the album, which is Funerals.
All right, where do we start with Funerals?
You have to start. That's mainly her. That's mainly her song. That's mainly Leah's song. But I did a bit of work on the arrangement on it that I think we tried a couple of different things with it.
Yeah, I think you had sent me like an early version of it, but it has changed a lot. Like it does build up more, I feel like.
Yeah. After you have ideas, and then you sit on those ideas, and then you're like, okay, I think it could be more energetic. Like I think it could build the energy at the end as opposed to like kind of staying where it's at. And I think like in general, I try to do that with music, but yeah, and there's obviously like a lot of ambient stuff and like more feelings of like floating and droney stuff. Lots of reverb. So yeah.
I mean, Funerals was initially going to be a ghost song. Well, I guess like I don't really know what they're going to be when I write them, and then they kind of develop. But so that was maybe a little bit like lighter, I guess. And Phil kind of heard it and was just like, yeah, this needs to be a Kill Instinct song. So it just worked, and it's my favorite song on the album. I know you're not meant to have favorites, but I do, and it's my favorite just because it's a very personal song, and it seems to be the one that people have connected with a lot when they've heard it. And yeah, we ended up developing that track quite a lot in person when I went over. So I went over to Toronto. I split my time at the moment as much as I can. So I go and see Phil. So yeah, we kind of just like sat over a couple of days, maybe 2 or 3 days, and just like went in and refined and like changed the beat and really just like leaned into like the gothiness of it. That's what we literally put like a funeral bell in there.
Yeah, the funeral bell.
And that's just like, I love that. I love just like being overtly like, well, yes, I'm gonna put it in there. But so it could be cheesy, but when you use it right, like it's not. I love what Phil did with the arrangement. I think like that build is a really beautiful opening to the album, and I think also maybe a surprise. I think people also did expect the album to be a little bit more of a Phil Gonzo album, and kind of more like just kind of heavy beats. And so I think it kind of set the tone. The intention was for it to set the tone quite quickly that like, yeah, this isn't going to be necessarily just an album of like hard, dirty beats, which we love. But you know,
we do love them.
but,
it's
but
not
yeah.
just Gonzo plus singer.
Yeah.
No, and I never want projects like that to ever be. I don't want any collaboration to be like that, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's like just dark, abstract electronic music that like it goes through a bunch of different emotions and energy levels and vibes and atmospheres. And yeah, it's just a nice mix. Whereas I don't think, like, there are obviously each song has a different mix between me and Leah, and each section of the song even has a different mix. Like, we can get into that later, but yeah, this one was definitely, she led and fucking crushed it. Like, really crushed it. And I'm very glad to just be able to play a more supporting role, you know, which is, I want to say how I really got deeper into production as the years went on, at least like my formative years. So yeah, love that song.
I feel like this is striking a balance between, like, I think you mentioned having been like a hip hop producer before and you do like the mixing services and stuff. And I think Kill Instinct is like a mixture between like that and having like your fully own project. Like, it feels like it's playing a more active part than just like the guy who supports, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, and I love that. Like, I actually really have a lot of fun mixing for other people. I've done a fair amount of it. Like, I've never like done it full time. If I could do it, honestly, I'd probably do it full time if I could make enough money and get enough clients. But yeah, I really love seeing and hearing music come to life like that, you know. And whether it's a mix, whether it's arranging, whether it's just adding something cool, like, you know, an idea here and there, a reverb send, like, there's so many different ways that you can really elevate a track and bring it to life. And that is what keeps music so engaging for me. And that's kept me engaged with it for like almost 16 years now. So, yeah.
And I think that collaboration piece is just, I love working with somebody who has that ability and that skill that I don't. Like, so Phil can I can take a track so far, you know, and like, I guess like same for Phil, like if there's a track that he feels needs like a vocal or anything. But yeah, so that's it. It's like, you know, you're kind of like stronger together. And yeah, I just wouldn't be able to elevate those songs to the same degree, like, at all. Phil's mixing is incredible.
Yeah, but at the same time, you can't elevate a piece of shit beyond a piece of shit. And that song was already like, it's a really good song, you know. Like the songwriting was really, really good. So just always to keep that in mind.
How does the saying go? Fix it in the mix, fix it faster in the master. So yeah, that's the second takeaway for our listeners. Book this man, Phil Gonzo, for mixing. You can do it very well. I can attest to that.
Thank you very much.
Free advertising?
Hey, that's what the show is for, partially. Advertising on a platform that 3 people listen to.
You gotta start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
I promise you, the first time I uploaded a song, I mean, I may have gotten like a couple of friends to listen to it, but you know, it's not like basically the same thing. And but you know, you gotta start somewhere, and if you want to build something up, it takes some time, but it's fulfilling, and that makes it worth it.
Yeah, of course. That's why I do it. So, do we have any more thoughts on funerals? Otherwise, we'd move on to the next track.
The bell. The bell. For whom the
Bell?
bell tolls. For whom the bell tolls. That's
Yeah,
my
I did have
favorite.
Metallica in mind, and I think there's a Geschaffelstein song as well that has the bell, right? Like, although that's not where I ripped it from. I just think bell's cool.
Hell's Bells as well. AC/DC.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, because that's the one Bell song that comes to my mind. And I actually have to re-listen to the song because I don't think I noticed the bell.
Yeah, it's it's after the drums hit. It's very close to that. But yeah, no, I definitely prefer For Whom the Bell Tolls. I love me some old school Metallica, but yes, also AC/DC is awesome. So
Yeah.
I kind of grew up on AC/DC, which is why that's my association.
No, I think that's everything for funerals. I mean, depends how much, I don't know how much detail you want us to go into on like.
I think that was good.
But I think that's pretty good. Yeah.
It's as much detail as you want to share. But all right, then let's move on to the next track, which is Parasocial.
Every time you breathe, I want to let out. Oh.
And my first note to this says, luckily none of us are big enough to relate to this, LOL.
Yeah, and hopefully, I mean, yeah, look, I'm afraid of the camera, to be honest with you. Like, I don't think I could ever, like, look at streamers and stuff who's like spending 12 hours a day in front of a fucking camera. Like, that just scares the shit out of me. or like, like, I don't know.
Yeah. I think this one, like, lyrically, this Parasocial. So I write a lot, just all the time. So Parasocial, I can't remember what particularly inspired me with those lyrics, but I guess it just kind of, Kill Instinct doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? Like, we're living in this really strange, crazy world right now where people, are so needing connection and like not able to receive it in the ways that are probably healthy. And there's also a real sadness around it, and there's something really sinister about it as well. This idea of, people thinking they have these relationships with people online and substituting, seeking real connection, and then like being willing to pay for it. And yeah, so I just, and I think I also have, I have a lot of friends who kind of work like in OnlyFans, and so it's just always really interesting to think about, those relationships that they have to nurture as part of that as well. So it's just a really interesting dynamic. Like, there's no judgment at all from any side. I just think it's a really interesting phenomenon that we find ourselves with, to have these sort of like parasocial relationships. So yeah, I wanted that to feel slightly sinister. That was definitely my take on it.
And like you said, the thing about like having to nurture them, that's what it's kind of fucked if you think about it. Like, of course, you kind of have to do it because that's what pays the bills, but still, like, essentially nurturing a relationship isn't healthy for the other person. It's kind of weird.
And the exchange of gifts or various items for that affection. I just think it says a lot about the world that we're in now. But yeah, I wrote that song. That's mostly just like, so that I tend to write like just I cannot read music or know music. I just play like from feel, and kind of like write things down. I have like stickers on my keys to tell me what notes I'm playing. So very much still figuring stuff out. But yeah, so I basically just like played that from feel, and that in my haunted attic. So, and that one has a lot of really cool just synth sounds that like I was just exploring like the bank and going through, and also I love using like different like organic kind of Foley elements, and so that one we had a bell in the other one. This one has a rattlesnake. So yeah, I do like using stuff like that. I think it does give like a warm tone to things, and again, it kind of gives it that sinister sort of feeling, like when you can't quite, I think as a human being, you can like feel, you can recognize something, or you can feel that something's dangerous or not safe, or like, or it might be organic, but you can't quite place it. So I think I'd like to weave those elements in as well. Sorry, I'm talking a lot.
No, very, very well said.
That is literally what I invited you here to do.
Very well said.
That is the purpose of this conversation. Yeah, like about the sound, I have noted down that what I especially love is that low, like, and Reezy bass. I'm just a sucker for basses like that. Like droning Reese. I think Virtual Riot does them well in his like future garage tunes. There's another name that I cannot remember that I'm going to have to look back up again. Who also does like awesome Reese-based stuff, and this is like right up my alley.
Yeah,
so
the bass thing.
I can touch on this a bit. So when I heard that song, I think we worked on it when you came over the first time, right?
I think so. Yeah.
That was the first song we worked on in person. And I heard the song, and I'm a huge fan of like old school dubstep, like old school like UK dubstep. And I mean not just that, but like most EDM, like I'm a fan of. But I love Reese basses and like drum and bass and jungle and stuff too. But I heard that, and it reminded me the vibe of that song, and even throughout the album. And it's funny because Leah lives in the UK for the time being, but the sound of it just reminded me of that like ambient UK bass music, like early old school dubstep. And there's a group called Cryptic Minds that does not make music anymore, but if you like that song, you should check out Cryptic Minds, because it's right up your alley. That's some of the best electronic music I've ever heard. It's just perfect dark electronic music. Cryptic Minds with a K. Yeah.
And like with Minds with a D, like the mind, or is it like Minds, mining?
Minds with a D. Yeah.
All right. I'm putting that on my to-do list. Listen.
Yeah.
It's way too long.
Yeah, I would advise a subwoofer if you're gonna, go through that stuff. Also, Burial.
I don't think my neighbors would like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's subwoofers are for annoying neighbors. That's what the purpose of them is. That's what they do. They do a good job. But yeah, also Burial. That's another, like, I really got strong Burial vibes, which is one of my favorite producers, artists of all time. So I just try to like kind of channel the sound of that in the mix a bit. Like, it was already there in the production, but I just wanted to enhance that like UK ambience as much as possible, I guess. And I think it worked out.
Burial, also an artist that's on my to-do list.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, so yeah, Burial's like, I would say maybe wait for a rainy day. Preferably at night. Like, nighttime plus rain and put on Burial, it's like a transcendent experience. I promise you. And you have to be alone. You can't listen. You cannot listen to it with another soul.
I'm sorry, I have to move out. I need to listen to Burial. I'm sure I'll find. I'm sure I'll find downtime for it. All right, then we move on to the next song, which Didn't I say I was going to do puns for all the transitions? For the segues, I didn't.
Are you doing puns? I love
I
that
don't,
jokes.
which is the problem. I was supposed to, but I'm kind of gripping at straws here. Okay, no. The next song is called Grip brackets Tighter.
Tied to, tied to, tied to your grip.
And I think this was a single as Golf before.
It was.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was, and it you may have noticed it was removed. That song just didn't fit the direction that Goth was going. I think at the time that I released that, we hadn't conceptualized Kill Instinct yet, and then it was like, well, these kind of I've got all of these songs that are kind of very much in this different world and have this very clear kind of feeling. So yeah, we decided to rework it and do a fresh mix and re-release that under Kill Instinct. So yeah, there is a video that we filmed, an incredible video that we filmed that we keep joking is just like never gonna come out. But hopefully it will be out soon. So I'm excited about that because I think that was a really cool concept. So hopefully we'll have that out in the next month or so. But yeah, that is, maybe it sounds a bit, there's a lot of like double entendre in my writing in general. I like to say one thing that can be maybe taken a different way. And so I do have a lot of like sexual connotation and things that aren't necessarily, they can be sexual if you want to take them as a sexual reference, or they cannot be. So I will intentionally write like that, because I think it's quite nice to have a bit of playfulness in your interpretation of things. So
that's fun because I have multiple notes on this, but two of the notes I have are, I am really unsure if this is horny or if that's just me. And then added, after listening to the rest of the album, this will be a recurring theme.
Yes. I mean, welcome to, this is just my life, basically. But no, yeah, so I think so if I want to get really deep about it, like there are parallels, it comes back to like the parallels that you draw between, power, sexuality, sex itself, like all of these things are, they're intertwined. And so Grip is not a song. It's not actually about sex. It's a song about somebody having literal control over you and it feeling like, they're literally kind of gripping you and kind of and taking control of you. But as I was writing it, I kind of started likening it to this idea of the shibari kind of rope tying practice, which I think is just really beautiful. So I just kind of wrote it with those two things in mind. So it could be about shibari if you would like to reference that. But actually that song I'm not as horny as people think.
I keep telling people this too.
But it's okay. We like our fans, whether they're horny or not. Like we've got some very horny fans out there, and we love it.
Phil, do you have thoughts on the song?
Yeah, so I definitely convinced her to put it out under Kill Instinct. But I mean, it makes sense, like in the sense like that was already Kill Instinct, but just we hadn't developed the concept of what we were gonna do with it. No, I love the song, and the video footage looks fucking sick, and I can't wait for that to be done and come out. Great track. Not much to really say about it. Just a lot of bass and eerie eerie.
Oh
and
yeah, actually that bass sample. Oh my god. Yeah.
yeah.
No. I struggled and I fought with it. There is more about that. Yeah. That particular bass, it's a bass sample I really liked, and it just was a nightmare. It was so crunchy, and just to get that level of clarity, like, yeah, I think Phil's the only producer that could have gotten that sample to be.
Oh, I'm sure someone else would have got it too.
But yeah, I was literally like losing sleep over this one sample for like a year. So it's fine. Recovered now. I'm not traumatized.
But the process worked. That's awesome.
Eventually.
One note I have on this, and I mentioned this to you like when I first listened through the album, is that as someone who is really undereducated about trip hop,
Yeah.
this sounds like trip hop to me.
There it is. Yeah, it's so funny. Yes, there. Leah hears that quite a bit.
Which is okay. I mean, I am a massive trip hop fan, but I don't intentionally set out to make trip hop. It's not a conscious thing. It's just that's the music that I grew up on, and it's just really interesting to like the things that Massive Attack is probably the thing I get the most. So I get a lot of comparison with Massive Attack, which I will very happily take. And I was like a massive. We spoke about this a little bit, didn't we? Like, I love Tricky, who's like a UK artist, and he had this really gravelly voice, and I was just that was pretty horny as well, to be fair. Like, kind of. But yeah, so Tricky was a really big influence on me growing up, and I was a huge Sneaker Pimps fan as well. And a lot of those kind of early acts, I think it was like Crystal Method and like some of those acts as well, who kind of started crossing over between like beats and like alternative or like, you know, rock music. So yeah, there were a lot of those sort of acts that kind of were experimental for their time. Like I'm talking like maybe like late 90s, early 2000s, something like that. So yeah, definitely that it's just, I can't help it. It's just in there.
Phil, you said there it is. Like this is just because this is something you get a lot, or like were you specifically expecting it?
Yeah, I think there's like it's like 4 or 5 people at this point have been like trip hop and like various trip hop artists when they hear this album. It's funny because me personally, I was never really into trip hop ever. I love hip hop. And it's not like I don't like trip hop. I just never like got into it. Maybe I'll get into it at some point, but
it's way too much music to get into. When you mentioned these artists to me, Leah, they also got into my to-do listen, but so far I haven't gotten further than listening through most of Massive Attack's Mezzanine.
There you go. What an album.
There's so much music to listen to.
Sorry.
Oh, don't be sorry.
I'll never get through it all.
More music is more better. So we move on to, I think, the only title that's in all caps, if I'm not mistaken, which is Big.
I do. I love an all caps. I do love an all caps. Yeah, I think Phil. I mean, this is your baby, really. Bass king.
No, I think it's actually very 50-50. Very 50-50. It doesn't seem like it, but there's 2 sections. There's the, you know, like I guess like pre-drop and then the drop and then like breakdown and then the drop. I did the drops. She did the pre-drops. Basically is what that comes down to. It was originally just all her, and then I was just like, the song's called Big. Like, I think I got to do something here. So
The bass has to be big too.
Yeah, and so I just whipped something up one day, and yeah, looks like it worked out. Yeah, it's a banger.
Yeah, we did need to give the people something. We did need to, because we were like, oh, it's a lot of sort of ambienty, sort of, kind of chill vibe. Yeah, we need to have some drops.
We need to give them a cold plunge,
Yeah, I think that's what
what that song is. It's a cold plunge. It's like, oh, you've just been like lulled into this like false sense of security that like it's not gonna get that heavy, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And this comes back to the same thing with like the sort of double meaning on things. So like, I think you can kind of, I don't know what your notes say, Christina.
My notes specifically say that I did not want to do a penis joke.
See, I like to, this is really, maybe these songs are like holding up a mirror to people and kind of going like, when your brain goes where your brain wants to go. But yeah,
I love that, by the way. And I sort of interrupt, but like, just, I love like old Tool, like Lateralis, and I love the songs that you can just kind of interpret to your own meaning, whatever you want them to be. Like, there's like, yeah, a certain level of ambiguity. But I think this, it's funny, I actually think this song is a bit less ambiguous. I think it actually, like, for me, at least, we've never really talked about the meaning behind it, or like what inspired it or anything like that. We just made the song, but yeah, you can hear it in the lyrics, right?
Yeah.
It's I like the people, like, bullies are often like, and not often, they're always very fragile, low, insecure people. I don't want to like get too political here, but there are certain people that are on the world stage that are fucking bullies, and they're all just insecure, weak people. So yeah, when it's like the song progresses and it's like you're a big bully, and then it's like you're a big nothing, like, yeah, and that's what it is.
That's one thing I was wondering, which is the "you're nothing" part doesn't just have your vocals, Leah. It also has this like guttural scream in it, and neither of you have told me before that you do this. So is this like a sample, or did this get recorded by one of you two?
No, so this is a singer. It's a gentleman that I found through Fiverr, which is just a really great way. Like, if there's a very specific set of, musical skills or whatever that you might need access to, it's just a nice way to meet people as well. So I think his name is Eric Castilla. I'm probably messing up the pronunciation on that. But yeah, so yeah, I convinced Phil that I wanted that contrast. It didn't feel like my vocal was strong enough against, like, it is such a big song that it needed something to really kind of like get that aggression over. And we are like, we both have a pretty eclectic music taste, and I love like metal, and I kind of grew up on like rock and kind of alternative music. So I love just like putting, again, it's like about sprinkling little surprises in there as well, like maybe not something you'd expect, and kind of just dipping your toe in. And yeah, like lyrically, that is definitely like that's written like you basically are writing it to someone who is a bully, and I wanted it to feel like the bully thinks that you're about to like be like, you're so big, you're such a big man, or you're such a big, you're amazing, and kind of like, because that's where that kind of character's head goes, where they think that it's like going to be a good thing, and then it turns on them, and it's like, nah, you're nothing, you know. And I think we've all experienced that in some way. So yeah, that's my take on it. But yeah, I don't know where that came from. Just needed to be written.
I mean, who can't relate? A lot of people, actually, I think.
Yeah, Phil and I really don't. Yeah, I think like we have a strong sense of fairness, and yeah, there's nothing worse than watching people who can't stand up for themselves, or people are in a position where they are being bullied. We try and, I don't know. I felt like there needed to be something. There needed to be something in myself that I needed to release in that song.
Yeah. One thing that I'm I've got two more notes. One that I'm wondering is or thinking, because you mentioned that this is like feels more like Phil's song, and listening back to it, I don't think it's just the sound. I think it's more just also the vibe, because it's like this big threatening thing, which a lot of like Phil Gonzo songs, like under the name Phil Gonzo, also have. Like if you think of Homicide or Taste of Hate, for example, or Nosebleed, which you mentioned before. Like those have that same like aggressive, mean vibe. And I think the other like more yearny songs or Floating are more of a departure from that, and that's why it feels the most Phil of the songs.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's a fair note. I think Phil can go to that place a lot more quickly, and it's almost surgical. Like he can write in that kind of way, and the song really needed it, because the song wasn't structured like that originally. And yeah, he kind of came back, was like, "What do you think?" Like a mad scientist. I was like, "Oh, I like it." Well, anything from your side?
No, not really, to be honest with you. I think everything's been covered.
All right, then I do the king of all segues. These puns aren't good. Don't cheer that. Like, this is below my standards, and they're low.
I thought that was quite good, actually.
So, no. All right, let's move on to King of Kings.
King of Kings, King of Kings, will you take?
Which my first note says awesome percussion.
Hey. I mean, I feel like this is where Phil's influences come through strong. Like, I love this one. This is I feel like those like Burial kind of influences came through, and that was like a late entry.
UK like dark bass stuff. So there's an artist named Shackleton, and there's another artist named Cyrus, or you can find it under Random Trio. And there's actually one particular song, I think it's, if you just give me a second here, but it has like it's very similar in the sense of like, it's like a very, just like a deep, you can't hear the bass, you have to like have a subwoofer to actually feel what's going on in the song. And that was like intentional, because that like really deep bass music that I love is like that. It's got all this headroom, like it's got all this room for this, just like this bass that's just pulverizing your chest if you have the right system for it. But anyways, yeah, there was a beat on it originally that was actually like kind of trip hoppy. It was different. It was completely different. And then I was just decided to experiment with. I was like, I just wasn't feeling it anymore. I wanted to do something a little bit more like tribal and like have this like voodoo kind of vibe and stuff. And so yeah, okay. So the song is called "Indian Stomp" by Cyrus Random Trio, Cyrus. That's what I was hearing in my head when I heard the song, like the last time around when I made those big changes, and that added that like really big kick drum. So yeah,
and I think that one reminded me a little bit of like a Tool song, although that wasn't like a conscious reference, but sort of had that kind of very hypnotic feeling. And I generally, like, I love percussive elements. Like, again, it comes back to that, like, the warmth, and it's just, there's something really intimate about it. I think if I was going to do, like, any kind of stage performance, percussion is, like, a must. I'm, like, hypnotized by, like, people who have, like, percussionists on stage. I think it, like, just does something to bring your stage, like, performance together. And yeah, like King of Kings, that's one of the ones where that's the original take. That's a one take, just talking, basically. It's not really even singing. It's just kind of, and that is for me, that was like a full-on channeling experience where I don't know if I was really present in the room.
The song is like a lucid dream, almost. You know, it's very like surreal, and it's just got this like this mood and vibe and energy and ambience to it that's just like, it feels like, you know, like it's like you've been awake for like 24 hours and you're starting to see the shadow people.
Welcome to my brain. I think, yeah, I mean, like, that one is definitely written, like, you know, if there is like some sort of spirit world or angels or anything like that, it was almost like a direct conversation, and kind of, it was during a very dark time in my life as well, so it's not an easy song for me to go back and listen to, because it wasn't a particularly good time, but you know, that's also really important to capture, I think. And yeah, I think the song ended up really beautiful, and it really is like a channeling experience for me.
It's ending it with such a like personal anecdote makes me feel very bad for the other notes that I have on this song.
No, go for it.
Which is that it reminds me, and this is very specific, of the soundtrack to an Aztec-themed puzzle game that I played as a kid, and that actually I replayed just because of the song.
That's awesome.
Like,
I love
that's such a specific thing. That is like the synths you had in there and the percussion, of course. Like, that's what the same soundtrack was made of too. So
really, Kate, you need to send this to us. I need to hear this.
Yeah, you really do. And surprisingly, I don't find that that's too distant. Like, any kind of Aztec puzzle game doesn't feel all that distant from how our brains work. So I think that's totally relatable.
The problem is that this is like a really very generic name and rather obscure game. I'm going to try and find it, but I'm going to have to check if I can find a video of it, so I'll send it to you after the recording.
All right.
Yeah, no rush.
Okay, do we have further thoughts about King of Kings?
No.
Oh, I think that covered it.
Wonderful. Then we get to Lovers.
Oh, this is all Leah, you take this one.
I feel like I'm talking a lot. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it depends how personal we want to get on this, but yeah, love is a statement. It's a statement. Like, that is, you know, it's a testament to like the power of, you know, when you have a relationship that is, you know, based on that true kind of connection and alignment and energy, and just how powerful that is when it comes together. You know, so that does open, and it's very dramatic. You know, I wanted it to feel like you were standing at the gates of heaven, because that's kind of what it feels like when you find someone. You know, and so I wanted to go really big with the synths. I wanted these really cinematic horns. Yeah, I wanted it to feel like the angels were opening these gates for you, and in celebration. So it needed to be big. And so yeah, so I mean, I just went in and like drenched it with like synths, and was just like more synths. Actually, there's not that many synths, but I think there's like 3 synths. But
There's a lot of sense. I don't know. You're talking shit. I mixed it. There's a lot of sense.
I mean, that is the one problem I have. But I didn't think there were that many. I thought there were like 3 or 4, which doesn't.
Well, they're not all playing at the same time, but like we faded stuff out, and
yeah.
Oh my god, I've done so many synths again. I'm starting to have a problem. I can always stop with the synths.
But
I'm sorry, you were saying something serious.
Yeah, but no, Leah did a fantastic job with that one, and I think I added that heartbeat, like which I think really like adds that like sense of like timelessness, because the beat that's going doesn't necessarily match with, there's nothing saying like where we're at in the song. It's really just floating in that like timeless moment. Yeah, I love that song. I think it's incredible, and it's like it's such a perfect contrast to the next song that comes after that, I think, too. Very proud of that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of contrast, I think, because that's just who we are. As you know, Phil and I are big softies, but then like we listen to like the darkest, darkest music. So, you know, that's gonna come through. Like, so yeah, you have these contrasts in like the sound and the songs, and yeah, I initially wanted to open the album with Lovers because I felt it was like such a statement, but then yeah, we ended up putting it as a little breaker.
We are hippie goths.
Yeah.
So I'm more like a hippie on the outside, and I'm like a kind of like a good mix on the inside, but better than I mean, you know, over the course of like the pandemic, I was definitely in my like goth era. That's where the kind of the Phil Gonzo sound came from, right? But yeah, we are both very, very peaceful, chill, silly, goofy people.
I mean, that's the cliche you always have about, like, it's the same cliche with metalheads. It's like you listen to the evil music and you're the kindest person on earth.
I know.
It depends on the metal. It depends on the metalhead. That's all I'm gonna say.
I can only speak to my experiences with metalheads.
No, look, there's a lot of very nice metalheads, but there is also metalheads that are assholes cosplaying as nice people. So that's just, you know, humans in general, right? Like, no matter where you go, I tend to think that like there's you know, there's so many good people out there, and you know, unfortunately the current state of affairs in the world, we're always reminded of the assholes, and it's shoved in our faces. But yeah, like there are so many good people out there, and it's important to never lose track of that.
That's a very good statement. I have one more question really about the song and an anecdote, which is you mentioned the heartbeat, Phil.
Mm-hmm.
And first off, when I prepare for these episodes, like I listened to the album a bunch of times, and my first re-listen was mostly on the bus. And between like my shitty mobile headphones and the noises of the bus, I actually didn't hear the heartbeat on the re-listen. And so it was
Really?
only like, yeah,
Oh,
it was only when I
no.
listened like for the next time that I really noticed that there was a heartbeat there. And it's like made the song very different, interestingly.
That's so interesting. That's so interesting. This
Made
is
it more interesting, so it's
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Which, like, it speaks to the contrast that you mentioned. And the question I have is that like, is it a sound design thing or is it like an actual sample of a heartbeat? Because I'm expecting it to be a sound design thing, but also that would be like the nerdiest, coolest thing ever.
No, it's a sample of a heartbeat. But
That is the nerdiest, coolest thing.
Yeah, it's a sample of a heartbeat. And I wanted to like, if you're listening to it on a system, and I keep going back to that, like, it's a lot of this stuff is like sound system music to me. Like, it's something I want to really feel on like a really loud system, and it's selfish, kind of like. It's just the way that I listen to music. Like I listen to most music in my studio, and I have a subwoofer. It's not like the best subwoofer, but it really adds another level of immersion. And yeah, that heartbeat, I wanted to just you to feel that. Like you listen to that in the right environment, the lights off, and it's like that one. I get a lot of Burial vibes for it, but I really can't take much credit to the Burial vibes there. I think there's just something about the UK.
Yeah,
there's something about the UK that just brings out this, makes people make this beautiful, ambient, melancholic music, and I love it. So yeah, I remember we were like finalizing the album. And we went through that, and I was just like, it just spoke to me. I'm like, I want it to have a beat. And I'm like, heartbeat, fucking perfect. You know? And so, yeah, heavily filtered, just so, you know, it's more of a feeling thing than something you actually hear. So.
Yeah, and I think we could do a whole episode on like, you know, mixing for different headphones and environments, and you know, I'm always kind of like, I tend to be a bit more in the camp of you need to account for people are listening on like, you know, like, you know, they're listening on like AirPods, or you know, so your music needs to sound good in those environments. I think Phil's kind of more on the other side of, you know,
depends.
Yeah,
for this, I was selfish.
It's not 100. Yeah, it's maybe a little bit more selfish, but not 100. I know. I mean, it's a balance, right? And that's why mixing is such a dark art, because it's like who and where and when and what experience do you want people to have, and sometimes you have to kind of make a judgment call on that. And yeah, we made a judgment call on that we wanted it to be really immersive when people are in that environment, that they can listen to it. So yeah, that's really interesting feedback. Yeah,
I mean, I get it too. Like, it's also the whole mono compatibility thing, like about mixing for different devices. Like, I refuse to be mono compatible. If you want to listen to my music on like a phone, that's on you.
Oh yeah. I mean, like, it needs to sound. I mean, it needs to sound good on a phone. It can't be totally blowing out, you know, your phone if you're listening to it. But yeah, it's not, the music we make is not designed for an iPhone. I don't think.
If you have your studio monitors set up properly, or like you like know what your headphones are telling you, then like you don't need to check things in mono. Like I do a lot of mixing, and I don't check anything in mono. I just know how to not cause phasing issues. And you don't want phasing issues, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't make this There are songs on here that definitely cut through on a phone, but like the deeper cuts, I did not give a shit. Like, I don't care who's listening on a phone, right? Like, I wanted that to be for people who are gonna actually like listen to it on like some decent, speakers, or like like us having a subwoofer. I would say that for anyone who listens to this, if you don't have a subwoofer, like, get one. I don't care how expensive it is. If it's a $30 subwoofer, just get a subwoofer, and it will change your life. It will improve the quality. You don't have to set it. You don't have to have it like super loud. Like, you can like have it placed and like adjusted to a reasonable volume, but there is the feeling, like when you can feel the music, it adds another dimension.
And it does change. Like, I was always, mixing or kind of working with just headphones. I work in Ableton, by the way, just because you mentioned about FL Studio. So I'm in Ableton, although I wouldn't say I'm a fangirl. It's just happened that way. But yeah, like the minute I got like proper monitors, Phil was actually visiting, and I was like traumatized for like a week because everything I'd done sounded so bad. And I was like, fuck, I'm going to have to go in, and like, I had to go in and like change levels on everything just for it to like not sound abysmal. So yeah, like I'm still learning about like just what proper sound can do, and like listening to your music and working on your music on your proper, like on a better setup, like the difference it makes.
I'm still learning.
Yeah, and I do think that like, I think that Kill Instinct from the very beginning has always been, we're not making a commercial project. Like, we know that we're probably, this is never going to be the kind of project that, is on radio or anything like that. Like, this is purely for people who take the time and engage and want to come on this weird journey with us. And I think those are the types of people that are kind of like, I don't want to say audiophiles, but they're definitely going to take some time to, sit and listen, and are probably more engaged with the musical experience, of listening through an album. That's why we released it on Bandcamp first, because we were just tired of Spotify's, kind of monopoly over how artists like dictating how they need to release, right? So was it the right thing? I don't know, but like, I definitely think like it's a project for people who want to sit down and listen to music from start to finish in the way it was intended to be heard, hopefully.
Yeah.
And we need more of that.
Thank you. It's not easy, because like, yeah, there's definitely pressure to like follow the model, and it can be very disheartening, when you put something out and, people just don't necessarily go from Instagram or TikTok or wherever you are and kind of click through to go and listen to something. But, the people who do, those are the real ones, right? Like, so I'm just like, I try and focus on that. Yeah, so very grateful for everyone that has listened. Thank you.
Phil, you were going to say something?
I'm not sure what I was going to say, but that's very well said.
Gonna sell subwoofers, and maybe you should get into subwoofer sales.
Maybe. We'll see about that one.
Yeah. About the Spotify thing, it's also a thing of like convenience, because like, I admit I listen to music on streaming services mostly just because I have my playlists there. It's more convenient, and so I want my music to be on there too. So
100%.
Like this convenience that also gets in the way.
I do the same. Like, I mean, I do listen to music on Spotify, and it's rare that I will. It's only once I kind of know an artist that I'll go and support them on Bandcamp. It's not a place where I discover new artists, so I think there's a discoverability thing there. But yeah, it's definitely not to like say anything like Spotify is terrible. Like, Spotify is great in a lot of ways for getting reach. But yeah, it's just like, I think it's just it's a different experience, right? Like, kind of just sitting with an album versus like releasing a single and kind of waiting and releasing another single and then waiting and releasing another single.
So, I mean, I can speak quite a bit on this. Spotify has been great for me. Like in like overall, I can't really complain. Yeah, it's not ideal. The last couple of years, I've lost algorithmic support on my music. Like not completely, but it's we don't have these big spikes and the growth that we used to. But yeah, it was just an experiment. We just thought, hey, we'll drop it on Bandcamp. Anyone who wants to support us, they can have it exclusively on there. It's like, they want to listen to the album that way. It's going to be on streaming services on April 18th. So yeah, it's just about there. And I'm not sure if we would release like that again, but we were just like, let's just drop the album. Like, no one knows who we are really. There's no sense in like trying to like hype this up, So yeah, Either way.
And I really like that I can engage with people a little bit more directly. I just think it's really lovely to like see who the people are that are listening to your music, and like if they are DJs that are supporting you, and it comes back to like it is like kind of we're trying, we have a really small community, and I think where we can support each other and like build more real relationships, even if they are just online. There's a human being on the other side of that. And obviously like Spotify's great for like, obviously once you're in that algorithm, like getting that reach, but it's very difficult to kind of have that. You don't really know who is listening to your music, right? Like you have numbers, but you don't really know who those people are. So yeah, I'm a little bit romantic in that sense, and probably terrible for promotion.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, the one person is listening to your music who told you, "Yo, that was awesome." Like, that has so much more an effect than like seeing whatever fucking number on Spotify.
Yeah, it does.
It goes both ways. I can touch on this a little bit more. Like, I do like seeing the numbers grow, like, because people are listening to the music, but a lot of those numbers are just numbers, and the people that really like go the extra mile to engage with you, it does like make it's a way bigger when someone like goes out of their way to like follow you on Instagram or send you a message or like share your music and tag you or play your music live, like that. That's my favorite shit right there. So. Yeah, that kind of engagement is a lot more meaningful, and it is really easy to get caught up in the numbers, but the numbers are just an indicator. Like that's just what it is. It's a number. It's an indicator. It doesn't mean you're successful at what you do. It doesn't mean that those people are your fans. It's just a gauge.
Takeaway number 3 for today's episode. DM your favorite musicians. Tell them you love their music.
Yeah. Our egos need it. We're very fragile. We're very delicate, fragile beings.
Oh, not all of them. Not everyone. Some people don't give a shit, but we definitely do. Listen. Is it possible I could just? I need to go grab something at the door for like 2 or 3 minutes, if that's okay. I'm just really, really sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm editing this, so we can just cut that out. Okay, so let's move from a song with a heartbeat to the next song, which is one with a heartbeat, which is False Deities.
You are God to me. You are God to me.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is the single. This is the lead single, right? So this is the first song that we released and introduced the world to Kill Instinct on. So
this is the song that actually like officially birthed Kill Instinct. So I just remember sending you. I think we had already. I'm pretty sure we had already started dating at this point, but I sent you this. I was just like showing you this. I made this demo, and you're just like, "Yeah, I fucking love it. Like, let's do it." And yeah, then it kind of just became what it is now.
Yeah, I mean, I love this track because it's just so unapologetically like this is an industrial dance track, like just straight up like. This one is a horny track. This is just, yeah, it's a naughty, sexy song. I was thinking very bad things when I wrote it. So
my note says, okay, but this song is horny, right?
yeah. It's really fun and really empowering for me to be able to use this medium and to have music to set those kind of lyrics against that, like the music can actually, because you can't just sing those type of lyrics in any setting. It's just going to sound, you need to have a really powerful song because it could be that sort of like dom experience, which it's not meant to be, but you could take it like that. So it really needed a strong sound that could carry those lyrics, and they came really quickly as well. Those, no pun intended, but the I'm here with the puns myself. But yeah, those lyrics I wrote them in like, I don't know, half an hour or something, and recorded them. They just worked. It was just right there.
Yeah, that's awesome when they like get it all in one go.
Yeah, I mean, I was being very ambitious, and I kind of wanted to do like my kind of take on like a closer type of vibe. I mean, which is obviously never going to happen because that's like one of the greatest songs ever written. But that was the kind of feeling that I sort of had in my mind when we were working on that track.
That's Closer by which artist?
Nine Inch Nails.
We're both huge Nine Inch Nails fans.
Very huge,
so.
obviously.
Very, very big.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. About the like writing process, I don't know how it is for you, but like for me, there's two types of writing processes. Like either the song is done in under 2 hours and it's done, or it's like a thing that drags over like weeks of short sessions.
Yes. Well, you can talk about your writing process. Oh, is he there?
Oh, sorry. I thought I didn't know you said. I mean, my writing process. I will say this: I don't really remember writing any music. Like that process, like it's like short-term memory, and I have awful short-term memory. So it's hard for me to speak on. Like, I don't have a specific way that I write. Like, I will say this: like, I think I probably like write melodically more than anything. Like when I'm like starting from something from scratch, I think having that melodic element there really makes a track unique. I've tried so many times to start with like a beat or just like a bass line or something like that, but I think most of my stuff that I've had the most success with has started melodically, or like with a cool sound, of course, too, right? Like kind of usually both, like having a good sound and then having that do a melodic element, and that kind of carries the track to wherever it needs to go.
Yeah, but I don't really have like a set way, but I agree with you in that like some songs are just lyrically and like lyrically they normally click really quickly, or it's something I have to like go and really like work through. And like generally speaking, like these Kill Instinct songs, we worked on them on and off like in different iterations, like over a year, because like for various reasons, personal reasons and all the rest, but also something that Phil's kind of like, I'm very lucky, like I get mentored by Phil, and like one of the things that I'm trying to take into account is like not being so reactive in wanting to like rush things. And because I'm not like a an artist that needs to release things every 6 weeks. Like I have the luxury of doing that. So yeah, I'm trying to just take my time with them and not feel the need to be like, right, I'm finished with this next, and like just actually leave that, come back to it later, add some sounds, leave it, come back, add some sounds, and actually I do find like it really does help the quality of the song at the end. And also you're in a different place sometimes, so can put a whole different angle on it. So yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a very quick songwriter in that sense. Like the general idea would be done quite quickly, but I have been letting them percolate is the word I like to use. Percolate.
I'm going to have to look up that word.
And just let it like get some flavor over time, like a fine wine.
This is, can I play the not a native English speaker card? do I get to do that after like 1.5 hours of English conversation?
That you can add that to the list of things, just weird words that I end up using.
All right, we were talking about false deities. Remember that?
Where?
Do you have other thoughts like about how the song came together or anything about it?
No. All I know is that it's the new BDSM anthem for sure.
It is.
It's already got added to a couple of playlists. I'm looking. I'm keeping track, and I have high hopes for this one. I think this is going to be a dungeon anthem. Yeah.
I'm not going to go into dungeons to check.
I love it.
I'm not either. Don't get me wrong. It's not my thing, but I appreciate anyone who wants to utilize the music for whatever they need to use it for.
I'm very proud of that fact.
As you should be.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if people necessarily realize, like, that artists can see in detail, like what songs have what playlists when you add tracks they've been like added to. So yeah, so obviously we have a great time going through and seeing some of the names of the playlists.
Okay, so speaking of, I'm just looking now, and at number 3 we've got a bunch of algorithmic stuff, but the number 1 playlist that's been added to is the ultimate gay male sex party. Let's fucking go.
Let's go.
And then industrial, EBM, dark disco playlist, pain and pleasure, BDSM, fetish, latex, sex, erotic, Kit Kat, symbiotica, bar, sinister, torture garden. That's another playlist.
I'm so happy I don't monetize these, otherwise that would be gone now.
Yeah. I love it. So yeah, that's False Deities. It speaks for itself. I think it was written, like the actual core song was written super quick, and then it was just like Phil really did an incredible job of like just going in and refining it and just making it so powerful. Like I get like a proper like Genki bass face when it comes to that track, which I need in my life.
Yeah, it's unreasonably heavy.
It is. I wanted it. We actually toned it back.
which makes it kind of an odd song for these playlists, because like it's not okay. Terrible pun alert, but I'm not trying to bang my head. Okay, that didn't work.
So no, I don't think there's anything else to say. I think the playlists speak for themselves. Go check them out.
The playlists speak for themselves, and then it feels odd after talking about sex playlists to say that we are moving on to Paradise.
Yes, which we kind of spoke about, right?
I mean, that's kind of life. Just you're horny and then you go to paradise. I think that's how it works.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. I think the key takeaway here is that we're writing a lot of horny songs.
That's takeaway number 4.
Oh dear. I thought I was going to come in here and be all like this like intellectual highbrow experience, and it's just not. Yeah, look, I mean that song is just so special. Paradise is really special, and yeah, we left that, and then we kind of came back to it like a year later, right? And added that little plucks, the synth plucks, which really just like lifted it. And yeah, I had some like little Easter egg things in the original. I had some Hunter S. Thompson quotes in the original vocal take, but I don't know what's happened to those. Those ended up on the editing, the cutting room floor. But they're somewhere. Maybe we'll revisit them.
Yeah, there was definitely more vocals, but I ended up going for a more minimal approach to that. So yeah, I don't know. I think it works for the song.
As someone said, less is more.
Sometimes. It can go either way. But
yeah, I find it kind of ironic that like you mentioned you did the song, then left it for a year, then did some more, and like
more than that,
that's basically what we did with it in this podcast. Like we talked about it in the beginning, then left it for most of the podcast, and now we're talking about it again.
Yeah. That is a funny coincidence.
No, full circle.
No, I made that. I think I had the original of that I made back in like 2021. So yeah, it was a long time ago. 2021 or 2022. I will do that. I'll just like I'll have ideas on my computer and come back to them years later, for better or for worse. But for this time, it was better for sure.
Yeah, definitely, it's a banger.
It is. That's the last song, isn't it? It's a closer, right? Yeah.
I was going to ask what playlist this one is in, but like that kind of doesn't work because it's not on anywhere where there are playlists.
Nope, not until the 18th. So we'll see then. But
I'll make a pinned comment with like the top playlists.
Nice. But actually, something I guess I can mention. Well, I shouldn't mention. I don't want to jinx it. I don't like. I should jinx it. It's already.
You can. Yeah.
So there's a wonderful artist named Vaktang who has decided that he wants to do a remix of Paradise. This remix actually makes sense. I haven't heard it yet. I'm waiting to be surprised when I got the full thing, but I've heard that it's a banger.
Yeah.
And another artist, I hope I'm not mispronouncing his name, but Svet Zero, who just recently started releasing music on Morton. He's decided to do like 3 remixes for the album, which is pretty cool. So all that stuff is in the works. If anyone else who's listened to this, who's a producer and who feels like doing some remixes, I've got stems. Feel free, message me. I will get you those stems.
Yeah, we're really excited about that because I think the song, I mean, like the album is a little bit more, it's probably the songs and the tempo is like a little bit slower on most of the songs, and so I did want to kind of, I think we did want to give people a little bit more and like slightly different interpretations that they would be able to kind of go out and dance to. And so I had a list of producers that were two of my dream producers, and Vaktang, we were very lucky to meet in person in the Netherlands last year, when Morton had their show, and he's just the loveliest person and just so incredibly talented. And he was just, I asked him, I was like, will you do a remix when the album comes out? And I thought he was just being really nice and really polite. And no, he has done a really incredible mix. And yes, Svet Zero is like my kind of new favorite artist releasing on Morton. Dude's just got super progressive sound that I really like and kind of really takes you on a lot of different journeys. So he reached out and he's doing 3 songs. So yeah, and then there's a couple more, but I won't announce those yet because I haven't heard them yet. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. And takeaway number 5, you can remix a Co-Instinct song.
Yeah, we want to hear what
I might if I get to it.
I love hearing how people reinterpret and take that material. I love it.
Yeah, like anyone who wants to remix that, we should probably make a post about it. Just be like, pin it like, hey, you want to do a remix? You can get the stems here.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more the merrier. I love to hear them. I love to hear any remix.
All right, I think that's not quite a full podcast yet. Do we have closing thoughts? Like, now that we've gone through the album, do you have anything you want to share with the class?
Share with the class. What kind of things would you like to share? Any tips?
I don't know. Well, I guess maybe just closing thoughts about the album and just maybe about albums and creating albums in general. I've made a few albums in my life, and this was definitely one of the better albums to make for sure. Some albums for me have just it's really felt like beating my head against the wall, and I have not enjoyed the experience. My album, The World Is Falling, is like that to me. I did not enjoy anything about that album by the time that came to be released. But this was a really pleasant experience, and you'll be a lot happier with your work if you make it a pleasurable experience, and you really don't beat yourself up about things. So yeah, I guess I've had if anyone I know I've said things about albums when I was on Mobius' podcast, and I just I don't advise it, but I guess I can reiterate and say I don't advise making an album the way that I did for that particular album, and just don't overthink it, and just make sure we're doing music because we enjoy this. This is our passion, and anything that gets in the way of your enjoyment in music needs to go. You need to get that out of the studio. And if you're not enjoying what you're doing, you have to take a break, reevaluate.
Yeah,
so.
And it can be a really, I think. So I'm a fan of albums, because I love a narrative, and I feel as an artist, if you're trying to create a world and a feeling, and it's it can be difficult, when you're kind of doing single, and there's a time and place for that as well. Sometimes you just releasing a single is the best way, but for me, I really love the idea of albums being this, and that's a very old school way of seeing the world, but then so be it. So yeah, but as an artist, being on the other side of creating an album, it's, for me, it's also not necessarily the most pleasant experience. I find writing the album, creating the album, I love that, but then when it comes to releasing and thinking about that and putting it out into the world, I feel incredibly vulnerable, and I have no skin on is what it feels like. It's a very visceral experience, and it yeah, I mean, it's a very thankless thing, right? You release this thing that you've poured yourself into, and there's not really very much in it really after that. So yeah, I think it is a true labor of love. And that's why it means so much when people do just people reach out and they give you some feedback, or they take the time to listen, because yeah, it's not our egos. It's just because it's you are in such a vulnerable state when you release. That's my experience anyway. So to feel seen in that context is just really nice.
Yeah, I've kind of had that with my latest album, this, just realizing, oh shit, I'm basically sharing my deepest anxieties here with strangers. Yeah. What am I doing with my life?
But it's so important to do it, and those are the albums, and that's the music that is going to connect with people. Like, you can feel that. You can feel the music that's being produced to just hit an algorithm versus music that, you know, is coming from an artist and a producer that is sitting and creating from a place in their heart. Like, you can feel that. So yeah, so just to say, like, yeah, I mean, like, I never used to understand, like, why albums took so long. Like, when I was younger, I was like, why do people take so long to create albums? Like, why do these artists? And now I get it, because, like, it's just a very visceral, very real, very vulnerable experience, and it's actually quite overwhelming. But that's been my experience. And then you kind of go through the cycles of, like, this is great, this is the best album ever, and you're like, I'm shit. That's the cycle. But yeah, I'm so proud of it. I'm so proud of Phil and I. I think for a first album, I think we've done. I'm really proud of us, and yeah, I'm looking forward to making some more music, man.
That's very good. And that would be my next and final question for the podcast, which is, what can we expect next for Kill Instinct? Are there future things planned, live gigs, future music?
It's a very good question. So I need to get my ass to the same country as Phil for a start. So, because that makes live gigs quite tricky. You know, I think playing live is something that, like, I would really like for us to do, but it needs to be the right time, and we need to have the right setup for it. I don't just want it to be neither Phil or I just want it to be like us standing next to, like, you know, a press record and play, and just have a backing track. So yeah, I think, like, I'm always thinking about that. I'm always thinking about how songs can be translated. I also love the idea of just stripping things back and actually just doing, like, live guitar sessions and that sort of thing. So we'll see. We shall see.
Yeah. That's, I think, I'm not 100% sure what the sound is going to be like for the next Kill Instinct. Yeah, like, I think we were actually just talking about this. We're going to wait until Leah's in Canada, and when that happens, we will sit down and write another album. I think, yeah, just the Kill Instinct project is going to be like an album-oriented project, and yeah, it's made the album fun for me again. Like, it was such a night and day experience of just, like, expectations of myself and also, like, how something's doing and, like, how many streams it's getting, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure what the future holds, but the world has not seen the last of Kill Instinct. I promise you that.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So the plan is release the album on the 18th on streaming. I think we want to kind of see how some of those tracks perform, and, you know, if there's anything that we want to do further with any of those. And obviously we have these remixes coming out. We've got a music video coming out, which I really love the creative direction on that. And yeah, I mean, we're both always writing. So yeah, I have lots of, like, weird little experimental, and I love a good interlude. So I'm always kind of writing, and I've also just been exploring, like, new synths and new sounds, and yeah, just not putting any pressure on, like, needing to write an album, just having fun with it. And yeah, we shall see. It's definitely not the last.
That's good to hear. So I think because you're a duo who also have individual projects, I think I'm going to also ask the same question, like, about other plans for Goth and other plans for Phil Gonzo.
Phil,
You want to go first?
I talk so much. So we are mixing my album, my Goth album, my second album from Goth. So yeah, we're mixing that at the moment. So we should have a Goth album in the summer. And that's a totally different sound to Kill Instinct, which is obviously why they're two different projects. But yeah, that's a super fun kind of synth poppy, just lots of soft pads and just going through a lot of the emotions. So I'm excited about that. So that album's coming out. And I think that's the main thing I'm working on at the moment. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but that's kind of, I have some collabs in the works, but I'm not going to announce those yet. So I'll wait to finish those, but 1 or 2 collabs with some of our fellow dark electronic producers, and that's it from my side.
I think you two have a collab that you need to finish as well, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, we do.
As far as I'm aware, it was called off. Like, that was my last state of affair, my last update.
Well,
I'm down to finishing it.
Yeah, I think we should. I'll help out, and we should get that finished. But I actually just finished. Well, not finished, but I did quite a bit of work on a Goth mix today, which sounds pretty cool. And yeah, for Phil Gonzo, I've got a Matt Black remix coming sometime in May, probably. Another one off of their album. The one Better, BTTR, that has Clan of Zymox featured on it, so that's cool. But in terms of Phil Gonzo stuff, I don't really have a whole lot planned at the moment. I have a drum and bass track that I made that's kind of cool.
You gotta show me that later.
That I might release at some point. And okay. I do have a track with Mobius. That's just about done. I think it's done. He doesn't. He thinks he wants to redo his vocals.
Oh, it's so good.
Damned vocalists.
Those two, Phil Gonzo and Mobius together, are just like dream team. Sounds so good.
Pretty cool song. So that's coming, but yeah, other than that, I think it's time to maybe get some new Phil Gonzo material together. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, I always have like demos and stuff I'm working on, but nothing like fully solidified. I think it's like a bit of a transitional period for me, and like kind of elevating my sound, and I don't want to do this. If I ever do like another project, like another album, Phil Gonzo thing, I don't want it to be like the last thing I did. I want it to be different. So I might be experimenting with different genres, different tempos and stuff. I already am, but maybe more so on that front, because it's, making the same mid-tempo stuff. Like it gets a little repetitive, and it's always good to switch things up.
Yeah, definitely. Losing another dark electro artist to the tempo shift.
Well, no, I mean, I will never not, like, I will always have my sound. Like, I can't not be me, but I love all forms of electronic music. I mean, Phil Gonzo, the first thing I ever made back in, late 2009 was a dubstep song. And then obviously I made like hip hop for years and stuff. And the first thing I actually released under the name Phil Gonzo, like a solo, was like bass house. So I've always been all over the place. So it makes sense that I'm kind of the mid-tempo thing's getting a little stale at the moment, but dark electronic music is always gonna be where I'm at.
All right. I think that is a podcast. It is exactly midnight where I live now.
Oh.
So we timed that very well. That's a lie. It's 1 past midnight, but the audience doesn't need to know. I'm not going to edit that out.
Sleepy time.
It's past my bedtime.
Oh, well, yeah. Thank you so much for having us on and letting us talk to you about our baby.
Thank you for sharing as much as you did. I was going into these like a little bit worried, like how much will they have to say about it? Like how much am I going to have to rely on my notes? I could have gone into this without notes and it would have been a great podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you to our awesome guests.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having us. And yeah, we had a great time.
Yeah, let's do it again.
You make another
After
album?
the next, once we've been through the next traumatic experience of making it up. No, this one wasn't traumatic.
Thank you for listening to this frankly oversized episode of About Albums and Artists. Kill.One has been released on all the major platforms by the time I've gotten this edited. It took me a while. So I will put links to most platforms in the description. If your platform isn't linked, it's probably still on there. I just lazied out. As I said, thank you for listening. Tune in for other episodes. I might link the other one we've already made. I don't know how many more episodes I'll do in the close future because imagine having time for things. And until then, go check out Kill Instinct, go check out Phil and Goth individually, and have a good night. Sleep well.